Hello everyone and welcome to this video where we will be going through how you can make a stopwatch similar to this using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. The stopwatch is part of Coding Ninja's front-end skill batch project. So let's get started. As you can see on the screen, this is the HTML code for our stopwatch. We have included some CSS and external fonts to make it look visually appealing. Let's get started with the code breakdown. We have defined the document type and the language for the HTML file. The head section includes metadata such as character encoding, viewport, and title for the web page. We have also included links to external fonts and CSS style sheet. The body section includes the actual stopwatch design. We have a div with a class stopwatch which includes a heading, a circular timer display with an initial value of 000 and two buttons for control, play, pause and reset. We have included a reference to the JavaScript file which we'll be using for the functionality of stopwatch. Now let's get to the CSS. The CSS code defines the styling for the HTML elements in the page. Here is an explanation of each CSS rule. Body, which sets the background color to dark blue and the text color to white. The h1 tag sets the font size to 48 pixels, the font family to Montserrat, and the font weight to 200. It also centers the text, sets the line height to 59 pixels, and adds padding and margin. The stopwatch class uses a CSS grid to center the elements and adds some padding. The circle class centers the stopwatch display and sets the dimensions and styling for the circle element that surrounds the time display. Let's get to the time class. The time class sets the font family to Roboto Mono, the font weight to 300 and the font size to 48 pixels. The gold class sets the font weight to 900 and adds some special styling to the text that makes it appear gold and creates a text shadow effect. The control class centers the control button and sets the width. Button removes styling for the button element that is provided by default by the browser. Then the play button and pause button sets the display properties for the play and pause button images. In this case, the play button is set to display by default and the pause button is set to display none. Now let's see how our web page looks after styling. For the h1 tag, we have used the font size 48 pixels. We also set the font family to moderate and the font weight to 200. We have used the gold class and styled it to appear gold. The circle tag in CSS styles the div to appear circular. The timer value which we set in our HTML 0 is visible here. The play and pause buttons are visible here. Now let's get to JavaScript to add functionality to our web. This JavaScript code is for a simple stopwatch that can be used to time events. The code has four major functions. First is time to string function. This function takes in a time value in milliseconds and converts it to a string in the format of hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. This function is used to display the elapsed time on the web page. Then comes the start function. This function is called when the user clicks on the play button. It sets the start time variable to the current time minus the elapsed time, if there is any, and then starts an interval timer using setInterval function. The interval timer updates the elapsed time by subtracting start time from the current time and then calling time to string function to display the elapsed time on the web page. Then the third one is pause function. This function is called when the user clicks on the pause button. It stops the interval timer using clearInterval function and shows the play button. Reset function. This function is called when the user clicks on the reset button. It stops the interval timer using clearInterval function, sets the elapsed time to 0 and displays 000 on the web. The code also has a print function that is used to display on the web page, and a show button function that shows or hides the play and pause buttons depending on which one should be displayed. Finally, the code sets up event listeners for the play, pause, and reset button, which calls the appropriate functions when clicked. So that is it, guys. This is how you can make a simple, functional, and a responsive stopwatch.